Hey folks, Mike Schramke with Larry Stovesand Equipment, America's largest selling Kioti dealer. Got 2 stores in Nashville, Tennessee, and a viewer, Jake R., commented that he'd like to see a comparison in the CK10 models. You know, why would someone buy a CK2610 or a 3510 or a 4010? They're all essentially the same tractor, obviously with different horsepowers, 26, 35, and 40. And excellent suggestion. Thank you, Jake R. And I'd like to give you a little thumbnail. The CK10 series, by far our biggest seller, and truly a fine machine. First off, they're all the same tractor. They all have the same ground weight, 4,011 pounds. Compare that. They all have the same transmission. Now they upgraded the loader on the 2610, so they all have the same loader, KL4030, and the loader on these picks up 1,835 pounds to a height of 8 feet. It's another one that's worth comparing. The 3-point lift is the same at 1,631 pounds. And they all have, and here's the thing, they all have the same hydraulic pump. Pumps 11.7 gallons per minute, which is a bunch. Especially if you end up with a hydrostat or a backhoe, you'll appreciate that much hydraulic pressure. So if your main concern is what it'll pick up in the front and the back, they're all the same. If you want to operate a backhoe at 11.7 gallons per minute, the 2610 will dig the same as the 3510 as the 4010. So there'll be absolutely no difference in performance of a backhoe and what it'll dig. The higher horsepower models will allow you to obviously operate equipment that takes higher horsepowers. So generally speaking, and I mean this is a general statement, but if a guy or gal wanted to operate a 5-foot implement, a 5-foot tiller, 5-foot rotary cutter, the 2610 is ideal. Outstanding machine for that at a relatively reasonable price. The 3510, the 4010 will operate 6-foot implements, or some 7s, like a 7-foot finish mower, which doesn't take a whole bunch of horsepower to run. So those might be better choices for that. They all have the same transmission choices and the same transmissions. Standard transmission is a fully synchronized 9-speed, which is 3 speeds and 3 ranges. The optional is a hydrostat transmission that has 3 ranges. And when we walk over here, I'll show you the placement of the pedals is a pretty cool deal. The way that the horsepower is achieved, I guess, is worth noting. Tier 4, the federal emissions guidelines, require that any tractor above 26 horsepower has emissions controls. So the 2610 does not, has no emission system whatever. The 35, 40, and everything else above that does have an emission system. And I think it could be best illustrated this way. If I lift the hood, this is a CK4010. Under the hood, you'll find what looks different than certainly on the 2610. That right there is the computer control made by Delphi Electronics, and that device there burns off the particulate matter, and that's the whole idea of Tier 4, is to eliminate the soot, the particulate matter that goes into the air. There's a lot of ways it can be done. If you own an F-250 or a Dodge diesel or whatever, you know that you take DEF fluid. Our tractors at 100 horsepower take DEF fluid, not necessary on these smaller ones. And Kioti's got a pretty cool system on the way it works. A lot of brands will have a light come on the dash at 60 or 70 hours or whatever, and it tells you have to do a regen cycle, meaning you have to park the tractor, put the emergency brake on, put it in neutral, push a button, and a burn cycle that takes 30, 40 minutes, something like that, will, the tractor will rev up, rev down, whatever. It'll burn off the particulate matter, and that system works. What Kioti does, and I think it's a little bit nicer, is anytime that the tractor's operating at 1600 or above RPMs, which should be anytime the tractor's operating, these are made to stretch their legs, it's burning as you operate. So the only time a burn cycle, a regen cycle, would be necessary is if the operator was prone to letting the engine lope at very low RPMs. Then the particulate matter does accumulate and does need to be burned off. But most folks will go through their entire ownership experience with, never having to have that aggravating 30 or 40 minutes of a regen cycle. As long as I got the hood up. All Kiotis have a standard external hydraulic cooler, and in the case of this tractor, which is a hydrostat, it has two. Really necessary, so when you're looking at tractors, that's something you'll want to look for. One, two. If you're going back and forth doing loader work, so you're using the loader a whole bunch, the hydrostat transmission a whole bunch, that's prone to build up heat and thin the oil. Not on this one. Not on this one. It keeps it nice and cool. Another thing I'd like to point out that I think is noteworthy, simple thing, but the leveling rod. The leveling rod is kind of cool. In fact, this one's level. When the internal tube, or the internal bar, is level with the tube, the bottom of the bucket is level. You could put a bubble on it, and I guarantee it's level. That matters when you're doing loader work or back dragging. From the operator position, you can't see the bottom of the bucket. So where is level? Where's a couple degrees forward or a couple degrees behind level? Who knows? Unless you have a leveling rod. Optional on a Kubota, for example. Standard skid steer front mount. Pull these two levers, bucket falls off. Pick up pallet forks, hay spear, anything that goes on a skid steer will, it's universal, goes on this. Also optional on a Kubota, not to pick on them. John Deere has some sort of proprietary thing, so if you wanted a set of pallet forks, you need to buy green pallet forks, Again, 1,835 pound lift capacity on these, which is really up there compared to our competition. Let's take a look back here. CK10 model mounts the 9-gallon fuel tank in the back. A couple reasons. One, you don't have to dump fuel all over the hood of your tractor. Another thing is, it adds the weight in the back. It's just in a place that's out of the way. It's safe. It eliminates the chance of dumping fuel everywhere, and it seems like a good place to be. The entire chassis, including the axles, are all cast iron. Notice the placement of the hydrostat pedals. They're exactly where they should be. They don't have that goofy rocker thing that nobody likes, that you have to have a size 5 shoe to work. They're where they should be. The loader joystick is mounted on the chassis. It's not up here. It takes a little bit extra expense when it's built that way, but it allows you to enter the tractor from either side, and it keeps you from having to, go through your life like this. It's where it should be. Also has a very convenient loader lock right here. Suspension seat, weight adjustable. The range selector, whether it's a manual transmission or like this one, a hydrostat, low, medium, high, is right here. Everything is laid out, a nearly flat floor. Grill guard is standard. But back to the difference in the 2610 and the other two, which are emissions controlled. One thing you'll notice, for example, when you're starting these machines, the 2610 is old school, so on a day like this, it's probably 40-something degrees outside. You'll turn the key forward and heat the glow plugs for a few seconds, and it'll start right up. And it gives that puff of black, glorious smoke that non-emissions controlled engines do. It's also a little bit louder. On the emissions controlled machines, they use common rail diesel injection, which is the same system that you would find on a modern pickup truck It's very quiet. It doesn't vibrate. It starts without a glow plug, and it doesn't require any type of warm up. You know, even on the coldest days, you turn the key and you take off. It runs, well, like if you have a modern F-350 or a Dodge or whatever. You turn the key, you go. There's no warm up. There's no glow plug to. I mean, it has glow plugs, but they certainly are never used. It's a very, very smooth and quiet engine. In fact, I think I got a key. Now, this has been sitting here. It's not warm, and it also doesn't have the clutch pushed in. Excuse me one second. As far as ease of operation and being just a darn nice engine, really awesome. The electronic controls, the common rail diesel make it extremely smooth. There's a difference certainly in price. The emissions, the common rail diesel, things like that do come at a price. So if somebody wants a tractor that'll lift a bunch of weight and will operate 5-foot implements or a backhoe, the 2610 is really an excellent choice. If somebody wants to operate 6 or 7-foot implements, they might consider the 35 or 40. If they appreciate the fact that the common rail diesel is quiet, easy to start, and just generally smooth, that might be a consideration. The machines are similar in every other way. As I said, not to be redundant, they lift the same, they have the same tires and transmissions and everything else. Truly the only difference is the power plant itself. Let us quote a CK10 for you. Tell us what you'd like to do with the tractor, whether you want a manual transmission or a hydrostat, and let us quote one. I'll put the address right below. In fact, it's right here. Magic of technology. And you can always give us a call. Our main number is 615-956-0334. That rings at the Murfreesboro store. You can ask for Murfreesboro or Springfield, depending on which you're closest to. For those of you not in the area, Springfield is slightly north of Nashville, and Murfreesboro is slightly south of Nashville. So wherever's closer. But give us a call. Let us give you a heck of a quote. I appreciate Jake R's suggestion on this video, and if y'all have other videos you'd like me to do, please just put them in the comment box. Thank you for watching my video.